Hi, guys. It's Mike and Ricky again. And this week we are talking about Ahsoka Episode 4. Hello, Michael. How are you doing, sir?
Good, Ricky. I'm kind of proud of myself.
Oh,
I
okay.
bought this puzzle,
Okay.
and so I finished the puzzle within 3 days, and I've got it completely done. And
That's
I'm pretty,
great.
I'm pretty proud of myself. Especially the box says 5 to 7 years, so I'm thinking to myself, got it in 3.
It's the Speaking Nerdy podcast with your host, Mr. Mike Schilling.
And my good friend and compadre, Mr. Ricky Poe.
Hey nerds, this is David with Tatooine Sons, a pop culture podcast. We believe that pop culture is the mythology of our generation. There is a story, it is written on our souls, and that all of these myths speak to that story. And that is why every Tuesday I talk about Star Wars and Marvel and DC and Lord of the Rings and whatever nerdy things we can think of with my two sons, Sam and Nate. It is a 30 to 45 minute celebration of all the weirdness that we love so much. Basically, Mom said we couldn't talk about it at the kitchen table anymore, so we decided to start a podcast. We hope you'll check it out. It's on every podcast app out there. Tatooine Sons. That's Tatooine SONS.
3 days.
Oh my gosh.
3 days. Well, man, we gotta. I tell you what, this is Ahsoka episode. Is it 4?
Episode 4.
Yes, The Fallen Jedi, which I think is
part
4.
Which you mentioned Fallen Jedi. I did notice on Disney Plus it doesn't say that.
I know. I thought that was kind of odd.
Yeah.
Wonder why.
I don't know. I'm
Maybe
wondering if somebody just failed to click the right buttons. Because I had also been hearing people were saying that, I guess like the director or whatever was reporting that this was going to be a longer episode, and it wasn't.
A lot has happened in this episode. It's pretty
a lot
wild.
happens in this episode.
There is so much to dig into this. I mean, so it's kind of one of those things where tonight, just, hang on. And again, if you have not seen Ahsoka episode 4, you need to go see it, because we're going to talk about it and we're not holding back. We'll do the little spoiler alert later. But anyhow, but what's going on in stupid news? Wait a minute. Nerdy news, not stupid news. That comes later. So it's time for some.
It's time for the nerdy happenings of the week.
I think we forgot that the past couple of times, haven't we?
We haven't always clicked it. And
Okay.
we've really been forgetting the rollout.
The rollout. We need to stop. Yeah, we like to roll out. But anyway, nerdy happenings of the week. What's going on?
Well, let's start with box office numbers. Another kind of lackluster weekend. However, in my brain, it's a lackluster weekend. However, apparently this weekend's number one movie. Is the second highest Labor Day weekend release ever.
Really?
Which seems kind of odd, but The Equalizer 3, the third installment of the Equalizer movies, opened this weekend and came in at $34 million domestically. And it looks like it's overall, since it came out, hit about 42 million because this was a long weekend, so they kind of include Monday as well.
Oh, that's cheating.
But yeah, I know, exactly.
Anyway,
but like I said, it is the second highest Labor Day weekend release ever. Barbie movie continues to take second place. Just cannot get this thing to stop.
I don't get it, but hey.
Adding another $10 million domestically. going over the $1.3 billion mark worldwide. It's very close to 10xing its budget worldwide.
Who would have dunk it? You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
Little girls and Barbie. I don't know. Blue Beetle came in third place again. And then Gran Turismo fell to fourth place.
Yeah.
And then Oppenheimer rounds out the top 5. And just kind of in keeping with what I've been saying, because now there are some later movies this year that have been pushed to 2024.
Yeah.
I'm not sure we're going to beat last year's domestic box office. If we do, we're just barely going to beat it for the year.
Yeah.
Even with 3 movies basically topping, $500 million domestically. I don't even know how that's possible, but
I don't either. Well, we supposed to have had some big movies that didn't do well. I mean, that's the thing. This would have been, most people would have thought the movies that we had come out with going to be big blockbusters, and they tanked. Yep. I mean, in comparison, yeah.
Like The Flash really should have done, it probably should have done like 150 or 200 million in its first weekend, but it just wasn't.
I wonder if Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, the wheels came off when I don't know, some people just couldn't get over the crystal skull. Makes me wonder if that's what it is. Or I actually had a chance to watch it the other night at one of my discos locations. But anyway, and I watched it, and and everybody, it kind of like when you beat something up so bad, it's like your expectations are not great. But I came away with it. Oh, I like it. It was pretty good. But
see, I heard a lot the same. A lot of people were like, wasn't bad.
Wasn't bad.
It's better than the bad ones. Yeah. Not as good as the good ones.
Exactly. So anyway. So anyway.
In other nerdy news, Charter Spectrum TV, that's a cable TV company, second largest cable network in the United States.
Interesting. I
cable system. Okay. I should probably say a system. So when I say network, people think I mean a station. This is a service. Like you and I would have Charter cable in our house.
Gotcha.
We don't, because we don't have Spectrum in this state. But anyway, so 15 million users lost access to Disney company affiliates. So 17 Disney channels, 8 major ABC affiliates, and for this time of year, I mean, you and I aren't really so much into this, but it's a big deal to a lot of people. They lost access to ESPN.
Oh my. Okay.
And football season basically stopped.
Yeah. That's bad.
Huge deal. In a statement from Disney to users, they said consumers should also know that they have many options today to choose from competing pay TV providers that offer Disney's entire portfolio of networks and programming, as well as TV streaming services that can be accessed by downloading an app or over a broadband connection. Now, what Disney doesn't say in that statement is, oh, by the way, Hulu plus Live TV is one of those options, and we own them.
We own it.
And they also don't say, Spectrum doesn't have ESPN, but if you get the Disney bundle, you can have Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus, so you can still watch all of your sports that you want.
Yeah, that's amazing to me. That's
now Charter.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think they were retaliating, but Charter apparently, in some kind of Wall Street call, stated that with the amount of cord cutting and difficulty negotiating with companies like Disney, that it's very seriously considering moving on from the paid TV business.
Gotcha. Okay.
So Charter may sell off Spectrum, or just get rid of it and just be a cable internet service.
Man,
so
that's a lot of power. That is a lot of power.
Yeah, and I don't see how Charter is going to win.
No, I
simply
don't see
because Disney says, here's the stuff, or they can just come get it from us instead.
Well, I think isn't that kind of the ultimate goal? I think Disney wants, right?
Yeah, kind
Cut
of.
the middleman out. Maybe. I don't know.
I think so. Speaking of Disney, Marvel Studios is shaking up its streaming release schedule. Now this isn't theatrical. This is just streaming stuff.
Streaming, okay.
So the only show that's going to hit this fall is on Disney Plus is the October 6th release of Loki season 2.
Okay. Yeah.
So that one is staying in place.
Yeah.
Yep. That one is staying in place, and it's coming up so quick. I can't imagine they're going to move it.
I can't imagine it either.
The second season of the animated series What If is going to debut around Christmas Day.
Okay.
And in every statement I have read, Disney makes a comment about What If is not going to be Christmas related.
Okay.
Which I don't know why they even bother making.
I don't even know why they're making that statement. That makes no sense to me.
Why does it, whether it is or isn't, it's irrelevant. But
hey,
anyways,
what if Kevin Bacon's Captain America? That would be something.
There you go.
There you go.
Let's see. Now that was technically scheduled to release earlier this year. So, but right now it's scheduled for December. Echo, the spinoff from last year's Hawkeye, was originally scheduled for this year on November 29th. Now that's going to come out sometime in January, they're hoping, of 2024.
Now, were they, I guess they're not done filming, or they just decide to...
I'm a little unclear on that. My understanding was that at least principal photography is done. Okay. Maybe there's some reshoots or voiceovers that they need to fix. But for whatever reason, they have pushed it back.
Okay.
And they've also moved X-Men 97, which is it's not a reboot. It is a continuation of the original X-Men, the animated series.
Okay.
That was also planned to release this year. Now it's going to premiere sometime, what they're saying, early 2024, whatever that is. Agatha, which is the WandaVision spinoff, that one was also originally announced for winter of 2023, is now going to be pushed all the way back to fall of 2024.
My goodness, we're losing a lot of content over this year. A lot of
content this year is getting pushed back. Now that one also comes with a name change. You might remember originally it was going to be Agatha House of Harkness.
Yeah.
And then at some point it changed to Agatha Coven of Chaos. And now it is Agatha Darkhold Diaries. Now, I'm just wondering what the B version of this was supposed to be. We got Agatha, then we got the C's, then we got Agatha with D's.
Yeah,
so I'm guessing if they push this show back again, it's gonna be Agatha.
That's gonna have another name change. Yes.
I don't know what it will be. They'll just change the name again.
They'll just do another alphabet. Yeah, Roman numerals.
So then the last thing I have for nerdy news is Rotten Tomatoes is kind of taking some fire. Now, to be honest, based on this reporting, now this was an in-depth report that was published in Vulture, but a PR firm, not Rotten Tomatoes. So this is where Rotten Tomatoes is coming under fire, but Rotten Tomatoes really didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
Rotten Tomatoes is just getting the brunt of it. So a PR firm called Bunker 15 went and they paid reviewers to give positive reviews for a film. It actually came out in 2018. It's called Ophelia.
Okay.
But they say they paid up to $50 for a positive review, and even lobbied directly to some critics to get them to change their review from negative to positive. And it actually did bring the show up to a 62% rating, which gives it the fresh label on Rotten Tomatoes.
So really, Rotten Tomatoes, they're just a vehicle for the rating system. They basically, if someone goes on there, because we've talked about before where there's been fanboys and haters, they would, that's the problem. Metacritic was having the same issues too.
Oh yeah.
That's the thing.
Theoretically, this PR firm could have gone to any critic rating service and done this, but it just happens to be that Rotten Tomatoes was the target this time.
Yeah.
Probably because they're kind of the big name right now.
And we made reference. We have made reference to them before on our stuff.
Yes, we have.
Which we try to do a cross section of different reviews, critics, but Rotten Tomatoes kind of a go-to, and I think it's a go-to for anyone just because that's what they do. So, yeah. So I don't think it should taint their reputation.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But I do think this PR firm is very out of line for paying critics.
I agree.
That is completely unprofessional. Now, Bunker 15 denies the claims.
No. Really? They didn't come out and say, okay.
So, that's, I will leave it at that. I can't say whether this is accurate or not, but it was reported as, it was published in Vulture, and it was a kind of behind the scenes kind of the thing that this reporter was tracking and says they proved, but
okay. Well, is that
so? If you're looking at the critics, just remember, always take it with a grain of salt.
Exactly. Well, we have anything else on the agenda on nerdy happenings of the week?
I don't have any other nerdy happenings of the week.
Okay. All right. Well,
do you have anything else?
I don't have anything else, so I think we will do our outro.
And that's all for the nerdy happenings of the week.
Man, that guy is really the guy who does that intro announcement. It's the
greatest voiceover
I believe. The
world.
Yeah, that's right. I don't know where that man
can't imagine where he came.
And what I love about it, we didn't have to hire the guy.
I know he did it for free.
Isn't that something?
Well,
man,
he charges everybody else.
Well, that's what I've heard too.
You ready for some nerdy news, or did you have something else first?
No. Let's go with some nerdy news. Let's have that going. Come on, folks. Some stupid nerds. I always said nerdy news. It's stupid news. Go ahead, hit it. Hit it.
It's the weird and stupid news with your host, Mr. Mike Schilling. You called my bit stupid news instead of nerdy news, and then I called your bit nerdy news instead of stupid news.
Yeah, isn't that?
So we are.
You're doing good tonight.
Someday we will be in the Broadcasting Hall of Fame, and we will not allow anyone to ever listen to these episodes.
Yeah, we're gonna have this really dark corner. It's really dusty, and that's where, and there'll be like these really 1950s headphones with the tape reels and stuff that nobody wants to mess with. So that would be our little place in the Hall of Fame somewhere.
We're gonna lock them in the Speaking Nerdy podcast vault.
In the vault, that's right. Or we just forget to hit record. That's the other thing we do. Oh, man. So anyway, yes, there is a lot of stupid news on the road. In Lancaster County, Nebraska, an alleged drunk driver was arrested after accidentally calling police to report his own dumb behavior.
He called the cops on himself? What?
That's what it sounds like to me, yeah. In March, authorities in Nebraska released a new audio and video of the driver's call to 911.
They released the audio. Oh, no.
I wish we were allowed to do the audio here. That would have been awesome.
For those of you who don't understand why we don't play video and audio, Mike and I have been dinged so many times for playing clips that everybody else in the world gets away with playing, but we never can.
No, I mean, I don't know. So,
oh my gosh.
So in March, authorities in Nebraska released new audio and videos of the driver's call to 911. The man was driving along US 77 in Lancaster County. Here's what he could be heard telling the 911 operator. Police says that the driver called to report someone driving on the wrong side of the road, but he was the one who was going on the wrong side of the road.
Stupid is, stupid does.
And exactly. So anyway, the police says the driver called, of course, and of course he was the person on the wrong side of the road. Anyway, and the man repeats his claim 3 times, and after conducting a traffic stop, the deputies asked if the driver knew why he was pulled over. And the guy responded, "Yeah, because I was on the wrong side of the road," the driver said. Okay. Okay. We can't make this up, folks. He said, "Yeah, because I was on the wrong side of the road," the driver said. "I must have missed an exit," he said.
Missed more than an exit, my friend.
Yeah. He said later the deputy asked the driver if he, the motorist who called to report the truck going southbound in the northbound lane, he said, "Yeah, because I thought somebody was on the wrong side of the road, bro." That's exactly what he said. Yeah, I think bro had a little bit too much to drink. He said, he also says, "Turns out this is the other part. Turns out it was you," the deputy said. He said, "Yeah, like a dumb expletive." Basically, if you can say a donkey's rear, like a dumb bleep, the driver responded, "Yeah, like a dumb bleep." Basically, he confesses his deed on the road. The deputies determined that the driver had a blood alcohol concentration over the twice the legal limit of 0.08%. Imagine that. The representative for the sheriff's office was not immediately available to provide additional details of the driver's arrest. However, Lancaster County Sheriff's Office said on social media that they hoped the wild true story would serve as a reminder to drive sober. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I know. This next one, you would think the man would be intoxicated, but he is not. If you've been living under a rock and haven't heard this viral tale all over the news stations, well, I'm going to share it with you. That's right. Some police officers in Nebraska recently had the weirdest traffic stop ever, and that's no bull.
There is a bull in that car.
Yeah.
What?
I mean, look at
Is he on the car or in the car?
He's actually in the car.
How is that? Is not a convertible. How is he sticking out of the car?
He actually, if you look on the left-hand side, folks, you can't see this on the podcast. On the left side, he basically created a reinforced steel, something on the side to be able to put his bull on the passenger side of his car. That's right. That's
I would say that was a bunch of bull, but I saw the picture.
Yeah, I know. You saw it already. Exactly. So,
Oh my gosh.
yeah,
Why
so
are
police officer,
people? Well, this isn't the first time we've reported on somebody who absolutely felt the need to take their large farm animal with them
yes.
in a vehicle not designed for large farm animals. Why is this a thing?
I don't understand it myself. You know, he said apparently the bull was riding shotgun in a car along Route 275 near Norfolk Wednesday morning. Local news reported Norfolk officers responding to a call about a vehicle with a cow inside rolling through town. Assumed they would encounter a smaller animal. They thought it was going to be a calf. Something smaller, something that would actually fit inside the vehicle, Captain Chad Remain told News Channel Nebraska. Instead, they saw Howdy Doody. That's right, that's the cow's name. Howdy Doody, a full size Watusi bull owned by Lee Mayer of Niley.
That
Mayer
thing's
was,
horns were almost as wide as the vehicle.
I know exactly. I mean, those things were big.
That's what she said.
And
oh my gosh. We
like
are
children.
12-year-old boys.
Oh my goodness. Myers were only given a warning not to. Myers were only given a warning, not a moving violation. That's what it says in here. And asked to take Howdy Doody back home and out to the city. I've seen some other photos. I don't have it. Apparently, there's some other photographs out there, and let's say the back seat is really messy. That's the truth. True story. I wish I could make that up. But anyhow, next time you see a moving violation, I would steer clear from the rear. And that is stupid news.
This has been the Weird and Stupid News with your host, Mr. Mike Schilling.
That's insane.
Steer rear. Steer clear of the. Oh my gosh.
I'm glad I can sound it. Well, tonight, folks, we are going to talk Ahsoka episode 4.
Yes.
We're gonna call it The Fallen Jedi because I like that. I think it's a cool name. But also, folks,
so
if you have not seen this episode yet, well, we will give you what we like to call a spoiler alert. Hit it. Or I'll hit it. That's why none of us hit it. That way, that's your sound to know that we are going to talk about the episode tonight. We are not holding back like we normally ever do.
We never hold back.
Never hold back. And so tonight we're going to talk about Ahsoka, and it is pretty deep. It's a lot of going on, a lot to talk about. And my colleague here is laughing. He's just, I know there's a joke here. There's somewhere.
There's so much bull jokes in all of what you just said.
Yeah, I know. And it wasn't even intentional. So that's the crazy thing about it. Wow. What a lot. Exactly. Well, I think tonight, of course, we're going to talk about Ahsoka. This is the 4th episode of this season. And there's a lot going on. I think they leave them off at Cetos, which is the planet where they have this, spiritual, this map, I guess this device, basically the hinge. Yeah. Now, one thing about this episode, and I was trying to think of, every week we try to think of what can we call the podcast. So I try to get ahead of it and kind of do some thinking. And like I said, I won't have a title for this podcast until you guys get to see it. But I was trying to think of what is the major theme for me. Everyone will come away with a different major theme, but mine is really, it's the interaction between Baylan and Ahsoka. I think there's, I think that, and of course, a little bit of Sabine, but there's this really, it's almost kind of in your face. I know about your past, and I'm going to rub your nose into it.
Yeah.
And it makes you understand Baylan is Baylan is an interesting character. To me, he is,
honestly,
I think
he is steals the show every time he shows up.
I totally agree. And it's so sad that Ray Stevenson, rest in peace, sir.
He passed away before the show was released. Because honestly, just watching this so far,
yes,
he's the one character I want to see come back later.
And that's what's hard, right? You forget about the actual actor, so you're watching, the character, and you're going, man, I hope he makes it through this season. And then it dawns on you, oh my goodness, the actor is no longer with us. It's a sadness in both sense, in reality and in fantasy. So anyway, but I really was captured. There's a lot that happens, and there's a lot of great, the fight scenes are just incredible. Yeah, I think some of the best fight scenes that we've seen. I know last time we talked about how we felt like episode 3 had a lot of great space battles.
Yes.
But for the hand-to-hand combat, the saber fights, that whole thing, it's been incredible. So, I want to talk a lot about Baylan tonight and the interaction between him and Ahsoka. There's so many tropes that I see in this from Star Wars, universe. So there's a lot going on here.
We got half a comment in this episode. We got half of the I have a bad feeling about
exactly.
This. But and we didn't get the whole statement. And I was like, what?
It was a play of Solo. I know. I felt like it was kind of the whole Solo bit, but also, and it's funny you mentioned that because that came from Jason Sandulo, which is, Hera's son, as well as
Canon Jarrus, correct?
Yes, Jarrus.
Is that the right pronunciation?
Yes.
Which could mean he is very force sensitive.
And that's what I was thinking. It was almost like
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. So it was almost like, kind of reminds me of New Hope when Obi-Wan Kenobi was sitting there and he's, the planet of Alderaan. Just blows up, and of course he sensed that, and of course
he felt the disturbance in the force.
So
I don't think this Jason has words for that.
No,
because he hasn't been trained at all.
No, he hasn't. He wants to be a Jedi. He made that, in one of the first episode or the second episode. He made a comment about
at least aware of the idea.
Yeah, and I think he knows of his father because, from my understanding about his abilities and his past,
Hera would have told him.
I would
about
think
his dad,
which I would like to hear a little bit more backstory of that. Even though I know that's not the focus, and we only have how many episodes? 2 episodes. 4 more episodes. Okay.
Yeah, this one's going to be 8.
This will be 8. Okay.
Yeah, rather than 6. So I'm glad it's going to be 8. There's
I am too.
We're so. I feel like we're just now getting to the end. Honestly, I feel like this is the end of Act 1.
Yes, exactly. We talked about that last week.
Yeah,
and I agree with that. Yeah, there's so much happening. It's General Hera. She, defies her orders. Yes,
I love that. I love it when.
Go ahead.
It is so. Jason is such a kid. He is legitimately a kid.
Yes,
in the show.
Exactly. Yes,
that is the thing he asks his mom. Hey, why do you get to disobey orders when I have to obey them? And she just says, it's such a mom thing to say.
Yeah.
basically, like, if it was my kid, my daughter would say to me, "Hey, Dad, why do you get to break the rules, but I have to follow all your rules?" And then I would say, "Well, when you're an adult, you can make those decisions,
you make
but
those
you're
rules,
not
right?
an adult, so you can't." And
Adult or a general.
yes,
Yeah,
and she just it's such a mom. Other than she's a general, it's such a mom thing to say. And she just says, "When you're a general, you can defy orders too." Like that is such a I loved that. If that annoyed you as a viewer, you either don't have kids.
No, you don't understand.
Or you're just not tracking. That was just such a family thing right there. That was a true family moment.
I really love the scene where you see the fleet and you see the X-Wing fighters as Hera takes off with off the Ghost. And so that was really a cool scene. And I kept waiting for Carson Trevor to show up, and there he is.
Me too.
I really like him. We've seen him in several cameos, and so, she kind of makes a nod. She says, Carson says, that you're gonna get in trouble for this, and she says, well, once a rebel, always a rebel, and so it's kind of a nod to that, and so, and of course. I tell you what, the New Republic they don't get a break, do they? I mean, it's like, you think they're going to come to the rescue, and sure enough, things just kind of fall apart, which
you think for a brief moment they'll come to their senses. But they don't.
They don't. I was reading an article how the New Republic deserved to fail,
Well, and we discussed this. We mentioned this last week quite a bit.
Yeah.
That it annoyed you that they're so that the New Republic, the politicians are in all of these shows have just been pathetic.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the reason that them being pathetic and them failing is the reason Leia builds a new rebel alliance outside of the New Republic. It all, whether you like it or not, and those the sequel movies, whether you like them or not, Filoni is going with it, and he's given you all the ammunition you need to know why those things happened.
Yeah, we talked about last week. I don't think that would have been Filoni's direction, but it was already set in stone. And so now this is what he has to work with. So this is what he has to show. So just the infantile.
Honestly, he had two choices.
Yeah.
He either shows the New Republic as faulty.
Yes.
Or he doesn't show the New Republic.
Exactly.
At all. That's
at all.
I don't know what other choice he has there.
Exactly. So anyway, I was glad to see some X-Wing fighters, and I thought that was pretty cool. I really like that. But I think we get to the point where, they get on Cetos, and I really liked watching David Tennant fight.
Oh my goodness!
I really like seeing
Hu Yang fighting another robot was brilliant. Have we ever seen two robots fighting in Star Wars?
I don't know.
I'm trying to think.
I can't think of anything.
Most droids, they just give up.
They're not really programmed to. I never see them fighting each other. Any kind of
not like that, at least.
Not like that.
We've seen R2D2 do a few, like shock a little droid here and there, or something like that. But
the thing I wanted, and we talked about this before, that I would have loved to see, because he is he trains Jedis, for crying out loud. I wanted to see a General Grievous because he has 4 arms popping out. I just wanted to see saber after saber after saber just taking these guys out. And he kind of seemed pathetic to me. It was kind of like, I kept waiting for that part to happen. I'm thinking, okay, he's training Sabine as far as training, some exercises. And so, you should at least be programmed to understand how to use not the Force, but at least how to use sabers. So anyway,
I thought the same thing. I was like, oh, surely he's going to pull out a lightsaber here in a minute.
Yeah.
And just cut the other robot's arms. And that would be brilliant. But he didn't.
Yeah.
I was telling you a little bit off screen. Speaking of Hu Yang, I really do like this character. But this is one of the few times that every time the robot talks, all I can see is David Tennant.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what was it? And we were talking about in the Book of Boba Fett, and I can't remember the guy. If you're a fan of the IT crowd,
he's from the IT crowd. I can never pronounce his name.
Yeah,
he a brilliant actor. Moss. Yeah, and he played Moss, and he played one of the robots in the show.
Yeah,
and I just it didn't.
No, it never.
I never thought of it.
On me.
Well, it's Taika Waititi was IG-11 in that show,
and it just
never crossed my mind that it was Taika Waititi. It was just IG-11. But every time Hu Yang opens his mouth, all I can hear is, "Oh, that's David Tennant."
Oh yeah, it's really funny. David Tennant has done some really cool stuff.
He's a great actor. Great actor.
He was he played the villain in Jessica Jones.
Yeah.
If you didn't, and
he was in Marvel, Harry Potter. He was in. Obviously Doctor Who.
Doctor Who, yes.
He's just done some great stuff. Good Omens.
Yeah.
Just a great actor. I'm pleased to see him in the Star Wars universe.
I do too. He's very talented, and I love this character. I love his character in this, and I think that's why I was so rooting for him to break out some lightsabers and kick some butt.
Well, and I do think it's interesting that Hu Yang is a very old droid.
Yes,
I don't know that I don't know that we know how old R2-D2 is.
Yeah.
But Hu Yang basically says, I'm like 500 years old.
Yeah, he's been around.
So I don't do all droids last that long? Or is
I don't know.
Is he one of the odd ducks that lasted this long?
I don't know. I think maybe it has something to do being a specific Jedi droid. Of course, I don't know. And how he survived the order, I guess. Of course, again, he wasn't technically a Jedi. So
true.
Anyway, but there's a lot as far as, there's some scenes where we learn more about Baylan, and there's a scene where he is talking with Morgan Elspeth, and she makes a comment about faith, and he says, well, I've lost my faith a long time ago in this. And there's a lot of reference to him being in the order, the Jedi order.
And he knows a lot about
what went on. He really does. And we find that out more and more when the interaction between him and Ahsoka, when Ahsoka, she shows up, and she's trying to destroy the map, which is, a golden type of map, a ball of some kind. And so he confronts Baylan, and Baylan, he's reading her mail. Really test. He really plays towards Ahsoka emotions, especially the ties with her, former master. Mm-hmm. And I had a couple of things. I wrote down some notes. It was really some cool stuff. He makes the comments like, Anakin spoke highly of you, of course. And she's thinking, he's never said anything to me about you. And, but So, but you wonder, okay, Anakin spoke highly of you. So was there any relationship there between him and Anakin? And then, of course, his comment is everyone in the order knew Anakin Skywalker. And this was kind of a thing that kind of I thought was interesting. The few lived to see what he would become. And, and then he comes right back for the punch and said, then he turns the blame to Ahsoka and he says, surely that must left a mark. And then this was the hitter for me. Is that why you walked away, abandoned him? And you can see a little bit riled. You can see Ahsoka riled up a little bit in that.
Oh yeah.
And what the thing with Baylan, he's not a Sith. I mean, he has a red saber.
Do you think at some point he was an Inquisitor?
I don't know. I think he had to be having the lightsaber. He had to.
I mean, it's orange, which gets weird.
Is it orange? Is it orange?
It is. There are some things that
because the colors do matter in the Jedi universe.
Filoni specifically calls out that it is orange. He confirms it, and that it has. I don't know if we're going to ever know what the meaning is, but he definitely confirms that it is not red. And that is part of the reason why Marek's sword is definitively red. If you see them both on screen at the same time, it is clear Marek is red and Baylan and I can't remember her name.
I looked this up. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Shin. Baylan and Shin are both orange.
Okay, so this is the thing. Orange lightsaber. There's several various thoughts on this, but one is an orange lightsaber indicates that a delicate balance between the balance balance has been struck between light and dark forces, dark sides of the Force, which kind of makes sense because, in a way, I don't see Baylan as this terribly evil man. He makes He makes this comment in his mind. He says what he's doing is for the greater good. Whatever that is, we don't know.
I caught that comment, and I'm not sure who's greater good.
Yes. Because I know he made a comment
good of the universe or the greater good for himself. And when he's talking to Shin, he makes a comment of, she's like, what does all this mean? Or something like that. And he makes some comment, more power than you can ever imagine.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember them having that discussion in the last episode, which builds upon what we're seeing here. In the fight, Baylan, of course, he justifies it. I had a note here too. He makes a comment. He said, because Ahsoka says, so creating a war is for the greater good. And he basically, Thrawn is just a vehicle for his means. Mm-hmm. It's, I believe there's no loyalty. He is a paid mercenary, I think, but he has an alternative motive that using the situation for his advantage for whatever that is, which we're not quite for sure yet. With
that in mind, I think he sees a war on the horizon.
Yes.
He sees, we've made the comment earlier about, the New Republic. I kind of, you made the comment that you don't feel bad about the New Republic failing now. I think he knows it's apparent.
Yeah, he knows.
There is going to be a war, whether Thrawn returns or not.
Yeah, exactly.
And, and maybe this is one of those big maybes.
Yeah.
Does he know about the Emperor's return?
Yeah, that's
and is this one of those? for the greater good, if the Emperor is the ultimate evil, can he bring back Thrawn and Thrawn defeat the Emperor? And Thrawn would be what is the term? A benevolent dictator?
Yeah.
Instead of instead of whatever the Emperor is.
Yeah, exactly.
So so that may be part of that. Could be his ultimate good, is that Thrawn coming back and overturning what is being stirred up out there is ultimately better than what actually happens with the first order and the Emperor's return.
Well, Baylan makes a comment. He said, "One must destroy in order to create," and he made that. And so it's almost as Thanos, if we want to go Marvel, and it's, and you don't
maybe he knows, maybe in his brain you have, because the New Republic is so so wimpy, and so the New Republic isn't really corrupt. It is anemic.
Yes, that's a good,
and infected.
Yeah.
So maybe he sees it as a necessity to wipe out the New Republic because it's so,
there's not really quote order in the universe.
Now here's another possibility.
Yeah,
I'm digging the theory ideas here. So here's another possibility for Baylan. He sees the New Republic as weak, as anemic.
Yeah.
And he knows for the New Republic to be strong, the New Republic must have an enemy. Because right now, the New Republic doesn't believe they have an enemy.
No, they don't.
But if they have an enemy, then they will come together and be strong.
Yeah.
So that's actually an interesting idea here.
That could be. Well, again, you keep in mind Ahsoka. This all will tie into Filoni's, his assignment to the helm of creating a Star Wars movie that has to do with the Mandoverse. So, and it'll be interesting. I have this feeling we won't see Thrawn until the very last episode, and
I kind of think so too.
And all of a sudden, you see him back,
or at the very least, we won't get a. We definitely won't get a conclusion.
Exactly. It won't. I don't know if it will be a battle. He shows up, and then we're done, and then we go, okay, are we going to see it?
That'll make me a little sad.
That'll make me sad too, because what a great actor. Mikkelsen. Really, that's all we're going to see of Mikkelsen, is just showing up and just doing an
post-credit scene.
Post-credit scene. Yeah, exactly. A movie that may not come out in 4 years or something like that. I mean, so anyway, but so and what I thought, the thing is, okay, we know that Ahsoka, she falls. I mean, basically, she tries to get the map. It's interesting. It was kind of an Indiana Jones, medallion in the hand burning. It's like burns her hand. And eventually,
please tell me they're not going to do an Indiana Jones thing, and she has the map in her hand.
Yeah, I know.
I don't think we're going there. I suspect we're going to go somewhere entirely different, and we'll get to that near the end of this episode, because that is the big reveal. That's going to be
the big reveal. We know that in the situation, Ahsoka, apparently she is taken out off the cliff. We don't know what happens to her. And of course, Sabine was supposed to destroy the map. And of course, this goes back to the trope of, the dark side taking advantage of the fear of losing a loved one.
Yes.
And so Sabine, wanting to save Ezra, feeling like it's the only way that she can ever bring Ezra back, she succumbs to Baylan's, I don't know, whatever his appeal is. He's
tempting her.
He's very tempting her, and he really tries to pit her against Ahsoka. He tries to make this contrast, like, you're not like your former master. You know, he uses that a couple of times. He says, you know, I guarantee your safety. No harm will come to you. And there was an example of that where Shin tries to force choke her, Sabine, and he makes her stop, and he makes the comment. He says, basically, in a nutshell, it's that I keep my promise versus your former master, basically, in a nutshell.
Yeah.
He tries to compare himself as someone who stays true to his promise to her former master, Ahsoka, who basically abandons her. But there was one thing in here, and I'm trying to think of the lore, where it's that he tells Sabine that your master did not trust you enough to save your family on Mandalore. Let me see here. I'm probably not saying exactly right. What was the thing in here?
He does kind of
he
does imply that that Ahsoka is to blame in some way. Now, I'm not sure. This is one of those. Yeah. This could be from a certain point of view.
Your family died on Mandalore because your master did not trust you, and that was the line. Exactly the line. Your family died on Mandalore because your master did not trust you. And of course, this is him building up a case. Why are you even trusting your former master?
Yeah.
Give me the map. So, but you know,
and once again, this is a, I know you so well.
Yes.
I'm reading your mail. Like, he knows who Sabine is.
Yeah.
He knows Ezra and Sabine had a relationship.
Yeah.
How does he know all these things? Because Sabine, okay, knowing Anakin is one thing.
Yeah.
Like he said, everybody in the Jedi Order knew who Anakin was.
Wasn't the scene where he stood there for a minute, deep breath. It was almost like, you know, maybe he was able to read her mind. It was almost a scene where he said, and it was almost like, your feelings portray you, you know, the kind of the whole Vader thing with Luke Skywalker. And so that could be it. Maybe it was so evident. I don't know. That I have no clue. But another thing we kind of glossed over is that we saw a little bit of the Force with Sabine in combat there for a minute.
Did we during a battle?
Well,
that is a debate I have in my mind. So if it's the scene you're referring to, she holds out her hand and Shin flinches.
Yes.
So is that the best I could muster was a face slap in the Force?
Yes. Yes.
Or was that a Shin thought it was coming and then it never came? So that's what I'm not positive. But this is another one of those is, this, trust me kind of things.
Yeah.
Is Baylan going to try to train Sabine properly?
Well, and it kind of goes off of the scene where, Ahsoka's about going to be pushed off the cliff, and he makes the comment to her, this doesn't have to be in this way, but you are who you are, and this, you don't know any other way. And it's almost like he would gladly take her in as an ally, but he knows that is not the way.
Not going to happen.
That's not her makeup. That's not her DNA.
Yeah, so, I do agree with you there for sure. I think this is a situation where he absolutely knew that Sabine is not, or Ahsoka is not somebody I can convince.
Yes.
Sabine, however.
Sabine is different, and we see that.
But my big question is, how does he, other than, like you said, betraying betraying your feelings kind of idea.
Yeah.
How exactly does he know Sabine was training her?
Yeah.
I mean, sorry, Ahsoka was training her.
Mm-hmm.
How does he know that Ahsoka turned her back? Because all this happened well after, he left the Order.
Yeah.
Well after he escaped Order 66.
Yeah.
So I'm not clear on how he knows all these things.
Yeah, and that's a good point.
He would have been in the Order when Anakin was training Ahsoka. All that makes sense.
All that makes sense. Yeah.
I don't understand how he knows so much about Sabine.
Yeah. And that because he didn't. He wasn't a character in the series Rebels, so we don't see him in that.
Yeah.
He's a total, somewhat of a new character, so he's not anything. He's not a live action version of anything we've seen before, as far as I know. So, have that. I did want to mention that Shin is really intimidated by Sabine. In the scene that you talked about, where you didn't know whether it was the Force or not, and she, and she kind of turned away. She immediately afterwards saying, "You have no power."
Yeah.
But it was this. But I sense this that Shin is very threatened by her, and
I think so.
And I think and she's almost maybe paranoid that she could be Baylan's new apprentice. Yeah.
I think we could be heading there at some point. I think she's also concerned because Sabine definitely held her off this time.
Yes, she did.
First time, Sabine wasn't ready.
No.
This time, Sabine was more than ready.
Yeah.
Now, she still wasn't a match for her. Not fully, but definitely she was right in there.
Well, she combined her skills as a Mandalorian as well.
Yes.
So she wasn't afraid to use it, so she combined a little bit of the saber training versus, Mandalorian armor and weaponry. I
kind of think we're going to see something like this. Yeah. I think he's going to start training Sabine. I think that's going to be an issue for Shin.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how all that's going to look or work, but I think it's going to happen. And so this is one of those, is this foreshadowing or is this just a really cool dramatic shot? So Sabine loses her helmet.
Yeah.
And there is a shot where you see her helmet laying there.
Yeah.
And it's just her helmet. And then it slowly pans over to Shin and Sabine fighting with sabers.
Yeah.
Almost to say Sabine has left her Mandalorian world behind her. She's now going to be this new person. Now, that is reading a lot into one shot. But man, it looks good. If you go back and look at that, it's like you could read that into that. Or it could just be a director who thought this will be cool.
Yeah. We didn't mention the we didn't mention the
Murrock in the room.
Yeah, Murrock in the room. Yeah. The one that got Thanos. Yeah. We didn't mention that.
So,
apparently
all those rumors and all those YouTube videos that talked up all those. Oh, so I mentioned this to you beforehand. Yeah. So a lot of the YouTubers who were saying things like, "Oh, Murrock is going to turn out to be a good guy in the end."
Yeah,
and their big premise was at the beginning of every episode they have the Star Wars logo things, and you see all the helmets, which is a Mandalorian thing. This Mandalorian set of series. Well, you see red and blue. And their big comment is that, when you see Merrick, it's blue.
Yeah.
So he's actually a good guy in the suit, but he's gonna turn on the bad guys at some point.
Yeah.
Well, he died, so that's probably not a thing.
Yeah, didn't work. Yeah, so too bad.
I actually went back and I looked at every single intro for all 4 episodes. Well, those people who were convinced were wrong from the get-go because it's not entirely accurate. In the first episode, everybody's red. Every mask has a red glow in the first episode. In the second episode, some people are red and some people are blue.
Yes, that makes
and it's not every other one. And the very last one, the very last helmet, looks suspiciously like a Mandalorian helmet, and it looks suspiciously like Sabine's Mandalorian helmet, and it is red every time.
Yeah.
So that theory really never held water if you actually went back and looked at things.
Yeah. And I'm as far as I'm concerned, because if you've seen it, you've seen it. We're not going to do a play-by-play. We already know that, the New Republic, Hera, and them, they try to stop the what's the name of it? So the Eye of the Tiger.
Keep wanting to say the Eye of Sauron, but that's wrong.
Yeah, Silos or something like that. And of course, we know it fails. They forget it. We're gonna hyperdrive right through them, and of course, they just. Only people left probably was Hera and one of the red shirts are still alive, and then
I think there were 2. I think
Carson's still alive. Yeah. So anyway, survived. And of course, we talked, and then after that, that's where we hear, Jason say, I have a bad feeling.
I have a bad feeling.
So
I was really waiting for him to say about this, but then he didn't. So I was like, okay, that could be a Force thing.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking too. It could be a Force thing, or just kind of a play of both. Of some kind. Exactly, I do too. So, but getting to the fun part here. Okay, this is the part here we get down to the nitty gritty. This is the Jedi Afterlife.
The last scene,
Jedi Afterlife. I want to call it, and it's very reminiscent.
It's not the Jedi Afterlife.
I'm just calling it that.
That's fine.
The scene is where he hears, and of course this was her nickname in the Clone Wars, and you can hear Anakin's voice saying "Snips, Snips," and she turns around, and she says Anakin, and he said, and this is what I thought was interesting. He said, "I didn't think you would be here that soon."
Yeah.
From that, and so you think maybe this is a sweet moment, but then getting close to the closing, you hear Vader's theme song.
Yes.
And you're going, okay, so what is actually happening here? You think, okay, well, Anakin, he was good at the end, when he was a Force ghost, you saw.
And this is post Return of the Jedi.
Exactly.
So but he is Hayden Christensen and Anakin.
Yes.
Not whoever that bald-headed guy was at the end of Return of the Jedi, Anakin.
Which they, changed that, recant that. So now they, now he's young, so there he is. Yeah, anyway. But apparently, I don't know.
But we need to talk about this is not exactly the Jedi Afterlife.
Yes.
This is a reference back to a Rebels episode.
Exactly.
And it is called The World Between Worlds.
Yes.
So that is where we are. We are at the World Between Worlds. How did she get there?
Well, and this goes back to where Ezra was here.
Yes.
And
Ezra enters the world between worlds through a portal, correct?
Through a portal. That's right. And that's where, there's also too where Ahsoka was fighting her master. She she jumps into the portal, and then between the two of them, they're in the portal. They're in this, whatever you want to call it, the bridge between the two worlds.
Yeah.
And it's almost like and then the Emperor, is also kind of mixed. It's almost like this trial. Something is happening between the two worlds. And so
and you can go from one to another.
Yes.
Through these portals.
Yes.
Because in that episode, we see Ezra reach in and grab Ahsoka kind of at the last moment and pull her into the world between worlds.
Yeah,
so she's been here before.
Yeah, so she was because she was in combat with her former master,
with
Vader himself.
Had she just discovered that he was Anakin?
Not at that point.
Not at that point. Okay, that was later. Okay.
Yeah,
that was what
point.
I was unclear of. I've only seen that episode one time, and it was a long time ago. And
but she held her own. It was really good. She held her own. I think that's the one where he takes out part of his mask, and he could see her eyes, and she's trying to reason with him, but he's gone.
Yeah.
And that's where I want to bring up. Like you're saying, she's been there before. Mm-hmm. So will they keep that in the context, in the canon, that she's been there before?
I would assume so.
I would hope so.
My guess is this is how she is going to get to wherever the witch and Baylan and Shin and Sabine are going.
Exactly.
That she's going to use this path to get there.
Yeah.
Which
I agree with that. Yeah.
Which kind of leaves Hera out in the cold.
Basically.
If that happens.
Yeah. And I kind of see Hera being a third player in this, it seems like to me. So she may come more in play later on when the threat comes, if the threat comes, if Thrawn comes back. Maybe there might be some scenes where she will have to answer to the committee, to the chancellor for defying. Yeah. So what's going to happen there? Will she lose her rank? Will she,
Well, she's going to have proof that something, I say she'll have proof. Hopefully now she has proof that something happened out there.
Yes.
So that they can't just say, oh, you're dreaming. That's not really, that can't be happening. Now there is another thing that we missed.
Mm-hmm.
There is a line where Ahsoka is talking to Sabine, and she makes the comment of, if it comes down to it, our goal is just to stop them from getting stop them from getting to Thrawn, even if it means we can't save Ezra.
Yes.
And she says, what we don't want is Thrawn to come back to be the heir to the Empire.
Exactly. Yes.
which is a reference to the Timothy Zahn book, Heir to the Empire, which is fantastic.
It's a fantastic book.
Shows, Luke Skywalker having a son named Jason, spelled the same way Hera's son Jason is spelled.
Yeah.
So Filoni must have loved that series because he's working really hard.
Putting a little bit of crumbs in there for us. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was a great line when she said it. And I was like, yes, Filoni.
Well, that's, because that comment too is what she struggled with because Ahsoka asked her, said, can I count on you?
Yeah.
Can I count on you? Which apparently she couldn't. But apparently not.
Well, and I do love. And speaking of, this world between worlds, and my comment of, I'm pretty sure that's how Ahsoka is going to get to this other galaxy. It is because, and once again, this is foreshadowing. where Baylan destroys the map.
Yes.
And he says, nobody's following us.
Exactly.
Well, guess what? Ahsoka is definitely following you.
Exactly.
She's just taking a different route to get
Just taking
there.
a different route. That's right. And that makes total sense. I'm sure that next week I'm really excited to see the conversation, interaction between Anakin and Ahsoka and what's going to happen there. Is he just a mirror of something evil, some kind of a trial or a test for her to get to where she needs to go? Maybe this is her,
is
challenge
this real
to
Anakin, or is this a figment at Anakin?
A figment of Anakin, where she will face her fear, and maybe Anakin will do the same thing as Baylan did and try to say, why did you leave me? It's your fault. I turned to this evil because of you.
Yeah.
And, dealing with emotional baggage that she might still have. And that would be a test or a challenge for her to get to the other side. So I don't know. That's an option. That's just, again, I'm theorizing to see, kind of guessing what could be. So
my guess is we spend most of episode 5 in the world between worlds.
I think so, because there's so much there.
Yep. I think that'll be a big, I'm sure we will see flashes to Baylan and what's going on there.
Yeah.
Probably we're going to see Hera report back to the New Republic.
Yeah.
But they're going to be dumb and not follow her anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a slight chance we could see Thrawn next week, but I don't think we will.
I don't think so either. But this is a great opportunity to answer some questions that we've been asking in the world between, between two worlds. We, maybe some explanation about Sabine, about why that she why did, Ahsoka made her an apprentice or take her on as an apprentice?
Yeah.
Padawan. Maybe we'll learn more about Baylan, about his past as well, because that's where that would happen.
Yeah.
And maybe Anakin, whatever Anakin is in there, is the one that kind of walks her through it all or something, or, I don't know, but I'm hoping that we stay within that realm, because I think we can learn so much between what's happening.
Yeah.
In that particular,
I feel like
two worlds. Yeah,
we've gotten so much battle the last 2 weeks.
Yeah,
I feel like next week is going to be that exposition episode.
Yes, I totally agree, and I'm hoping for that too. I think we need some of that.
Yeah,
I think we definitely need some of that. Well, anyway, folks, we are on all kinds of places. You can't get rid of us. We're like, a gum in a good man, bottom of a good man's shoe. We are, we're like roaches hiding in the, never mind. That's probably a bad analogy. But anyway, we
listen on your favorite podcast app.
What he said. And forget about the whole roaches part, because that's just disgusting. But yeah, you can catch us on, we're on speakingnerdy.com. There we have our link to our YouTube page, which is youtube.com/speakingnerdy. And again, we also have all our podcast channels there that you can click on. We're here every Friday. Check us out. And we'll be back next Friday to do it all over again on episode 5.
Yep.
How do you feel about this coming episode?
I'm kind of excited.
Same here.
I hope we're going to learn some stuff we have been asking. I hope we're going to get some questions answered next week. I
hope so too. And I would like to see General Grievous. I like to see a little bit of that coming out of, yeah. So anyway.
All right.
Anyway, folks, that's it. Thank you for joining us, and we'll be back next week. So be sure to watch Ahsoka. I'm sure it comes out here lately, even coming out on Tuesday nights, Tuesday evenings.
So
exactly. So check it out, and then check us out on Friday. So that's it.
This has been the Speaking Nerdy podcast with your host, Mr. Mike Schilling.
And my good friend and compadre, Mr. Ricky Poe. Took me 3 days to do that puzzle. Not bad.
I've forgotten about that.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you, my
Thank
friend.
you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Feel accomplished.